Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Zero to Woman podcast. My name is Jifa, and I'm your host. On today's episode, we'll be speaking with my friend Nana Araba Grant-Andoh. She's an architect with over 8 years' experience. We'll be speaking about her journey into architecture, building a career as a successful architect, and everything in between. Welcome, Araba.
Hi, Jifa.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good to see you.
I'm happy to be here.
Great. All right, so let's delve right in. Did you always want to be an architect?
Absolutely not. So, growing up, when I was, I think, in class 6, right till JHS 3, I wanted to be an air hostess. I know that's funny, but yeah, I wanted to be an air hostess. Then I think along the line, before I went to SHS, and then I switched and I said, okay, it's either I do law or I do architecture. For the law, it was because everyone around me, my family, they used to say, oh, how about you think you can be a lawyer and all that. But I used to enjoy pre-tech. Did you do pre-tech in school? Yeah. So I used to enjoy pre-tech, and then the whole drawing thing, specification and all that. So one of my teachers in school back then asked me to consider that as well. So I chose general arts for SHS, and that's what I pursued in senior high school. And basically that was it. That was how I entered architecture, moved on to KNUST. That was it.
That's it. Do you enjoy being an architect?
Oh, I do, but it wasn't easy. The road was quite rough, and still it's not easy because architecture, being an architect is a lifestyle. It's very tiring, but you need to have the passion for it. So once you have the passion and you get that fulfillment every time you see your works, being done and coming to fruition, you know that, okay, it's a worthy cause, but it's very tiring. Ask any architect and they'll tell you sleepless nights. Anybody in the creative industry knows that it comes with a lot of sacrifice. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Interesting. I know that you do stage design, you do interior design.
Okay.
Walk me through. At what point did you want to do interior design and stage design? These are like two questions together, so maybe you'd have to take it one after the other.
Okay, so technically, once you pursue architecture, you get a background in interior design, even though some go further to specialize in it, but you need to have the basics when it comes to interior. So once I have an architecture background, I know that, functionality and aesthetics, this is how it should go, or this way you should start from. For stage design, let me see. So I'm in Joyful Way, right? And being someone in creative or design when it comes to spaces, that was where it started from. So when we were in school, when I was in uni, and then back then, the Kumasi branch had a program called Joy Over One.
It still exists.
It still exists, yeah. So back then, every time we were going to have that concert, the leaders on campus would reach out that, can I do something, can I see how we can arrange ourselves on stage, how we can do this, arrange the lights. And that's where it started from. So Joyful Way made me start stage design, yeah. So that's where it started from. And then moving to the national after school, the music director back then also gave me the opportunity. So I've been doing that for about, let's say, 5 years now. So Joyful Way stage, when it comes to Explosion of Joy, I do the stage design. That's where it started from. And
so
I enjoy
everything we see on screen in the videos, you're the one behind.
Yeah, but there's a whole team, production team that assists, would, say, okay, this doesn't work and all that. But the initial concept comes from my end, yeah.
So why did you decide to get another master's in procurement and supply chain management? That's a little far from architecture.
Okay. Well, maybe I wouldn't say it's too far because so as an architect, you come up with your designs. You need to know the kind of materials that will make the project look exactly how you want it, and also construction-wise, you need to source for your materials. You need to specify that this is the kind of um, let's say these are the panels I want to use in the design, this the lighting, this and all that. So I do that as work, as part of the work I do on sites when it comes to the construction aspect. So I decided, okay, why don't I just, and I enjoy that as well. Actually, that also began, or I started going deeper into procurement at my previous workplace, where my boss wanted me to do everything, costing, everything. Back then I didn't see it as a blessing, but because it was quite a lot of work. I'm like, this woman, why do you want me to do things that quantity surveyors are supposed to do? Because in the construction industry, the QS, they come up with costing, pricing and all that, but this woman wanted me to do everything, and it was a learning ground. And I think that I built I gradually got, into it as well. And then that's where it started. And I was like, okay, why don't I pursue a course in it to know more about it, to know the regulations regarding procurement in Ghana, getting, what's it called, certified for it and all that. And that's where it started. And also, as you grow in your career, it gets to a point you want to do more.
Yeah.
You want to climb the ladder. So how do you better yourself, how do you build more skills? You can't stay where you are as women to the least thing. So trying to get that fulfillment, and I decided to pursue a degree in it, and that's how I got my master's in procurement supply chain.
Well done. So are you doing all of that now? And are you, like, in your day-to-day job, do you do the procurement part? Do you do the, what you said that typically the quantity surveyors would do?
Yeah. So at my current workplace, we have a full team of QS that does that. But when it comes to specifying what we need, the type of lighting, as I mentioned earlier, the sizes of the panels, or any sort of material that you need while you're construction, I do that. You finish them with it for them to do the costing. Sometimes you even need to source for vendors, then you push that to the QS. So I'm using that at my current workplace as well.
That's nice. Do you think that, so there's this notion or just concern people generally have, questions around at what time do you think you should do like a master's, right? I know that in your case, being an architect comes with automatic, a master in architecture.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, for instance, this other one that you have. Do you think that people should do masters right after their first degree, or they should wait, work for a bit, see what they need, and then choose a program which aligns to that?
It is very debatable because, in my opinion, I think it's very debatable because some believe that after your first degree, you should get some experience, know exactly the area you want to focus on before you proceed to do your master's.
Yeah.
Some also think that, okay, once I'm in school, I know that this is what I want to do without even wanting to get on field and on-site experience. So I think it's debatable. I personally wouldn't say this is right or this is the best, but I think that as an individual, you have your vision as a person, and you know where you want to be and where you want to get to. So what works for you, I think that personally, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. But like you said, for me, in architecture, doing your architecture in KNUST, it comes straight with getting your second degree. Like, you can proceed to do your second degree, but some people actually decide to finish their first degree, go work for a while, and come to do the second degree. I almost did that actually, but I'll tell you why. Do you want to know? So I wanted to do that because at a point I got tired of the course. it was hard. So I remember when I went to first year, I know sharing this, I'm shy, but I'm being real here. When I went to school first year, I called my dad. I said, Daddy, I don't want to read the course anymore. I want to go home and then reapply again and come and do administration or something different, because the training was hard. Jifa, sleepless. I could go 2 days without sleep. When I'm working, then I don't know, it's like my hands are trembling. So the training is hard. You can ask anyone who has been there. There comes a time when you almost want to give up if you are not very. So first year in school, just first year, I wanted to give up. This is the first time I'm sharing this openly, but yeah, I wanted to change my course, but my father said, "What do you mean?" So that was it. So when I finished the 4 years after the first degree, I wanted to go and do national service because I was tired. Genuinely, I was tired. I was tired of the training, And health-wise, I wasn't eating well. Those are some of the regrets I have. I wasn't eating well. I was so lean because the timeline we are given for projects and what we do is always short. Yeah. And if you are someone who, it takes a while to settle on your thinking, like when it comes to the creative process, it's not always, sometimes you have to go back and forth. So if you are a bit careful in how you come up with design, sometimes you can even, your mind, you get blocked in, when it comes to design. So I wanted to go and do my national service. I said, no way. And then, my family spoke to me. They were like, just get this over and done with so that you don't get rusty. Yeah. And some people I looked up to also encouraged me that I should just go and do it, and that was it. So it depends on every individual and your your situation, your vision, and where you want to get to. That's what I think.
Was the master's easier though?
Trust me, when I went to do my master's, I was one of the best in my class. Yes. Mm-hmm. But in undergrad, it wasn't the case. So the
what
funny
changed?
thing is,
did you change or did the program get easier?
I think I went with the mentality that I want to nail it, and I think that was it. And it was the mentality, and also like wanting to be there. Like I said, in undergrad, I think I was a bit overwhelmed, and I made that cloud my judgments. But when I went back to do my master's, I was like, Araba, let's do this. So yeah, I was one of the best in my class when for the masters. Oh, yeah, I'm proud of that.
That girl.
Thank you, Jesus. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about mentorship. Your industry is male dominated. Has it been easy for you to find mentors? Or at the start of your career, did you get a lot of people willing to mentor you?
Okay, mentorship. I'll say that, so at every point in time, I've worked with about 3 architects since I left school.
Okay. And
I'll say they're all like mentors to me. And one thing about architects, every architect has their unique, every architect is unique. They have their niche, how they do their things, how they run their firm. When it even comes to their designs, they have their signatures. Yeah. So at every point in time that I worked with any of these 3 people, they've mentored me. Yeah. So currently, the current architect I'm working with, he's very good. He's a foreigner, and I've learned so much from him. So when it comes to, practice, even how to run a firm and all that, I'm learning a lot from him. So I'll say every architect I've worked with has been a mentor to me. And at any point in time, I can even call any of these people that I've even worked with in the past, for favors. So, yeah.
That's cool. How is it like rising through the ranks as an architect? What is the structure? Is there any structure? Or is it like you work here for 2 years and then you see another role, maybe senior architect, and then you move?
So with that, I think it depends on where you work. But in architecture, usually most firms have, so you start as a junior architect. you go to senior architect. Then maybe you depend on how effective you are, how productive and how hardworking you are, you can become a partner in a firm. And usually principal architects are usually the main architects, like the overall boss in every firm. So as a junior or senior architect, you do something, these are the people that have the final say. Don't do this is how we go about it, this is what the clients need, so these are the requirements, or this is how we are meeting our targets. However, in certain institutions, so like I said, depending on where you find yourself, in certain institutions, as an architect, you can rise and become operations manager, managing director, CEO. But in that aspect, I think you usually have to, further in some courses, build yourself, and then you can climb up the ladder. Okay. So that's how it usually works for architects.
All right. So from what you just said, the main thing is for you to improve on your skills or decide to go back to school, and then you get to rise.
In some institutions. But in a typical architecture firm, you start as a junior, senior, principal, and you can become a partner of the firm. Just like how lawyers, Yeah.
Apart from going back to school and getting all of those skills, is there something else that people can do? Like if a junior architect is watching now, is there something that he or she can do to rise through the ranks?
Yeah, you have to be hardworking. So if we are in a firm together, I take a look at you. What are you bringing on board? Okay, there will be so many people, but what's different about you? If you are in a firm and you're not contributing much, you're not seen. I don't know how best, but usually it depends on how many years you've been in the company. But of course, if you've been there for so many years and I'm contributing more than you, I'm bringing gigs and stuff,
So the contribution is more you bring in.
Not just you bringing,
jobs to the firm.
But what you are doing. If you're not being productive, because maybe you can do, let's say we have some projects on board. We have about 3 projects that we need to finish this month.
Yeah.
I'm on my 3rd project in 2 months, and I'm still on your 1st project. I mean, as a principal architect or a partner in a firm, it's also about money. So who is bringing the money home?
That's it.
So yeah, you have to be hardworking, and I'll say that you need to humble yourself, okay? Because there's a lot to learn. That you're asking as a junior architect. Yeah. There's a lot to learn, so I'll say that you should learn a lot, and also you should take your sites and visit and supervision seriously, because you learn on the job and not in the office. That's when you learn. That's when you learn that, okay, putting 2 materials together, this is how it works. I need to put a bolt here, You learn that, okay, when you are putting metal, concrete, so you learn on the field. So you need to take the on-site experiences very seriously as a junior architect. Yeah.
So is it like you go and fight for on-site experiences?
No, not that. You'll be given that opportunity. But usually for a company like where I work, to get that opportunity, you need to prove yourself in the design aspect. So because how, as a boss or as the main principal architect, how do I entrust you that when you go to site, the instruction you're going to give there, you're going to collapse my project? So yes. So you need to also show that, okay, you actually understand what design is, what construction is, engineering. As an architect, you need to know about engineering, because that's part of the experience the things we learn in school. You need to know structural engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical, so many things. So prove to me that when I take you to site,
you're good.
Yes.
You know what to do.
Yeah. So you need to learn every day. Of course, in any profession, you have to learn every time. You need to keep learning to improve yourselves. There's new technology that comes out all the time, new ways of doing things. So you need to up your game every time.
Interesting. What's your favorite time management hack? Because I know you do so many things.
So many things like what?
Like joyful way.
Yeah, like ministry work.
Yeah.
So this question, I'm not really there yet. I mean, if I'm being real, but I think that one thing that has worked for me is knowing my prime time. In the sense that I know that during the day, this is when I'm most efficient or most productive. So I'm very nocturnal.
Yeah.
Well, maybe perhaps a lot of architects are very nocturnal because we work deep into the night, and that's when you have, your thinking cap on and everything. So I'm very nocturnal. So because I know that I'm very nocturnal, I don't waste I don't waste, my nights. So when I get back from work, I try to rest a bit. I eat, rest a bit, and then, later in the evening I sit, and then try to work. So knowing my prime time, that's one. Another thing that I think has helped me is learning to trust people. I'll explain. So I've had trust issues when it comes to trying to entrust people to do things or to help me or to, bring ideas on board. Because, sometimes as a designer, you want this to be from you, you want, and sometimes to maybe if you have juniors at work, they come back and it's like some of the things you have to do it all over again. So, but I've learned to delegate, and that has helped me because what I can use 2 hours to do, if I delegate, I could probably use 20 minutes to do because this person brings, okay, I've gathered this information. So, okay, it comes together and ta-da, everything is ready. So learning to trust people, that's, and also even in the sense that sometimes you can sit down, you're trying to figure this out. How do I do this? This building is flooding. What's the solution? You are sitting down thinking for 3 hours. But who knows, if I had called Kwesi to ask him, Kwesi, how do you think this thing? You've solved it in 3 minutes instead of 3 hours. So that's also one thing that has helped me to save time. What else? I think, obviously, prioritizing what you do. So maybe these are the things I need to do. On a scale of reference, this is very important now. So I'll try and make sure that this is what I do. But unfortunately, in our field, when it comes to clients, everyone feels their thing is important. So one way I deal with that also is that I try to, when I'm trying to design something and I have a mind block, okay, I know that you hold on. Maybe this one, the idea has come, so I'll quickly rush in. Multitasking is not the best when it comes to that, even though we are women. But sometimes it helps because, I switch to this. Okay, now the ideas have come. I do all that. Then I come back to the most important one because, okay, now the idea has come. So that has also helped. And what else? I think these things, knowing my prime time, trusting people, prioritizing, and also basically that's it. Those are the main things that have really helped me, honestly, personally.
Nice. I want to go back to trusting people because it's not an easy thing to do, right? Especially if you want your things to be done in a particular way. It's quite difficult to delegate. How did you overcome that hurdle of, I like my things a particular way, and so you have to do it that way. Don't do it in a way that I have to come back and then spend more time trying to fix, the wrong that you have done. How did you get over that hurdle?
So I realized that you don't have to leave them to do it, through and through. You have to check along the way. And also it will take time, especially maybe if you've worked with few people for a while. With time, it doesn't come on a silver platter. If somebody has worked with you for 2-3 years, they'll definitely know how you like your things than someone who just came.
Good.
So I think first of all, one thing is you have to be patient. Be patient. Be patient. If it's someone who is understanding or learning, be patient and teach them that, okay, this is how you want it. And with time, they know that, okay, if you ask for this or you need this, this is how you want it. So that's one way. And also, while they are doing, supervision is very important. Supervision is very important. It saves you a whole lot of damages and, while away time. So those two things help.
Thank you. That's actionable. I would use them. If you could do something different at the early stages of your career, what would that be?
At the early stages of my career. Okay, so it will be going back to my former boss. My former boss, if I should put it that way.
An ex.
Going back to my ex boss. So it was tough. Working with her was very tough. Okay. I'm a strong woman, It was really tough. And back then, I saw most of the things she used to do as verbally abusive. I know, Jifa, I know, but...
It's such a thin person.
Yeah. But I think... Someone will say she was, actually. Someone will say she was. But she was very good.
Okay.
But I couldn't take it anymore, so I left. But I learned so much there in Jifa. I think what I would have used 2 years to learn in another company or firm, I learned it there in probably 3 months.
That's impressive.
Yes. Seriously. So, and I think if I had stayed there, for some extra years or, I think I would have known probably a lot more than I do at this stage. That's one thing I think I wouldn't say I regret, but if I could turn back the hands of time, that's probably one thing I would have done.
Spend more time.
It was a hard ground, but and people couldn't work with her for long, but I was able to work with her for a while. But I think if I could, change things or switch, I would have loved to work with her, And I mean, being with her and working with her, the networking was good. I met a lot of big people. I did a lot of big projects, big projects that is easy to, get. This man was getting this project. So it was a lot of good networking experience and learning ground, but it was really hard and tough. I'll go home and I'll cry. I'll cry, I used to cry. Imagine, but it made me tough too, it made me tough and very resilient.
So what do you like to do outside of work to relax, or what makes you happy outside of work?
I sleep. Okay, so
one of
the things...
It feels like you're always working, so when you're not working, you just sleep.
I really... My life is very hectic, so I try to rest as well. But I think one of the things, let me add to the time management thing, is that, to also be effective or efficient in whatever you're doing, you need to take care of yourself and you need to rest a lot.
Yeah.
Because if you're not resting, you sit behind your desk or you go and you can't be that productive. So it's also one thing that I think I didn't add. So I tried to get a lot of rest as well. But unfortunately, if I tell you my rest, you're like, you call that rest?
Tell us, we're interested.
Sleeping 5 hours, is that rest?
No, it's not rest. That's a normal night's sleep.
So my rest is actually not, enough rest, but I try. I try. And also, being in Joyful Way, it's like an escape from so many things, So, as a member of Joyful Way, we have programs and events we do. We go for outreaches and all that. So, those are some of the things I do for fun. Even though it's ministry work, I enjoy it, My love for, evangelism, ministry work and all that. So, it's part of the things I do in my free time. Yeah. And and hanging out with friends, my husband, playing games at home. I know it's it's the little things. It's not the big things like yeah. So it's the little things. That's actually what I get a lot of fulfillment in when it comes to being relaxed or having some time away. I love the beach too. Anyway, so yeah.
So you go there often?
Not often, I don't have that luxury.
Fair.
But when I get the opportunity, I don't play with it.
That's fine. I want to take you back.
Yeah.
When you were speaking about your boss, like your former boss,
Yeah.
you had mentioned that one of the things that you took away from that place was the network, right? And networking.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of people, and for a lot of women specifically, networking is not a good word to them because they struggle with it and they feel like, why do I have to, try to kill somebody just to say, oh, I know this person, I have the person in my network.
Yeah.
What are your hacks for building a network and keeping that network?
Okay. I think, I wouldn't say personality-wise, but, there are people that are lovable.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just meet people and you just like them the way they are. Their personality is just sweet.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not giving myself that credit, but I think maybe that's one thing that works for me.
Yeah.
Till date, okay, I have people in certain companies that, being with my boss I worked for, that will just hit me up. Araba, how are you doing? And there are times when they've even wanted me to step in to do, things for them. But I kind of, when it comes to those things, for a while, I kind of have that respect and regard because, I'm not going to steal my boss's clients. So, they are still friends and I need them for favors. I can still call them, I don't think networking is a bad thing. Why not? You need network. You need people in places to be able to penetrate certain places.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think, I would say maybe when it comes to this younger generation, I think people are beginning to embrace that. Or, it's always been there, but I think even in our generation, it's even more, which I think is a good thing. So I beg to differ, or should I say I differ without begging. When it comes to networking, is a really good thing because, for instance, I'm not saying the kind of networking where,
you go for a program and say, hi, this is my card, or introduce yourself.
Or the kind of networking that you need to do bad things as a woman to have. No. You can have a good network without, necessarily, in quotes, the things that people think we are talking about. No. You can have a good network without any of that.
So how do you nurture your network?
Okay, for instance, let's say Christmas. There are certain people in place that, you may want to, send them a card, send them a gift, or, you reach out to these people from time to time. Like I said, hey, hello, Kekeli, how are you doing?
Yeah.
You don't always wait when you need favors to reach out to these people. Let them know that aside that anything, they are friends.
Yeah.
Okay, so these people also easily reach out to you. So when the time comes and, you need certain favors, you call in. Something that has to be done in 3 hours, they can do it for you in, like I said earlier, 3 minutes. So I think trying to keep the relationship going at every point in time helps, right? And also, what can you do for them?
Yeah, I think that's also very important.
Yes, what can you do for them? Sometimes you can give them some jobs, some gigs, It shouldn't be always you going to them or running to them for favors. What can you do to them too as a colleague? So those are some ways when sometimes you can invite them, out, when it comes to personal favors, like let's say as an architect, the person wants to design their personal or do a renovation or something. You don't always have to charge, them like you will when it comes to an actual corporate something. Yeah. So these are some things that you can do to keep.
So it's a give and take situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like a one-sided thing.
No, not at all.
Let's talk about mentees, right? So you've always had people you looked up to, people who have mentored you. If somebody wants you to mentor them, what would that look like for you? right? So who is your ideal mentee? And I'm asking this because I think that whatever answer you give would tell people what they should think about, before asking people to become, older professionals or like mid-level professionals to become their mentors.
Okay, so you are talking in corporate sense.
Yes, in a corporate sense.
Career-wise, not
career-wise,
ministry-wise. Yeah. Okay, so before you have a mentor, you need to know what are you about? What is it you want to achieve, or what do you want to do?
Yeah.
If maybe it's career-wise, like you said, if I'm an architect and you want to be a mentee, are you coming to me because you want to be an architect, or maybe in terms of another aspect, of my life that maybe you think you want to learn from, right? So if it's in terms of architecture, why not? And what exactly is it you are looking for? But for me, I have open arms, so you reach out to me, or I see a potential in you. For instance, let me just chip this in, because my being in joyful way. Sometimes when we go for school outreach and all that, there are times we introduce ourselves and share what we do with them. So when we are leaving, you have some of these young people reaching out to you that, oh, I've always wanted to be an architect. I want to be an architect. So, you share your contact with them. And, there are situations like that. And I have people that I still chat with, they reach out to me. Okay, so auntie, I don't like that word, but yeah.
You are an auntie.
Auntie Araba. So, what should I do while I'm home, after Wasi, as I'm home, what should I do before I get to school? So I share, these are the softwares you need to learn how to sketch, so it's something I do not, fully, but how I can contribute in my little corner, that's how it's been. So interacting with them, you get to know their mind and where they are heading to. And sometimes there are people too who don't know what they want to do or where they are heading to. So it's like you guide them, you share with them, and sometimes you get them to challenge themselves, and with time they get to know, okay, so this is actually what I want to do, how I want to do it. So that's how it's been for me, actually. So once I get to interact with them, I help in the little way I can. Yeah.
What does career success look like for you?
If I'm nowhere near where I want to be, trust me.
Where do you want to be?
Trust me.
Or at what point would you think that, like you're there or you're getting there?
The way I am, I don't think I'll ever feel that way.
Love it.
Unfortunately, I don't think I would ever feel like I'm there. Because before I got my master's, my second master's, there were times when I feel, Charlie, what am I doing? I wouldn't say I was getting into depression. That's too strong of a word, but I don't know if you've ever had that feeling.
Yeah, like you're not doing enough.
Yes,
you want to do something.
Yes. And trust me,
more.
even after getting my master's, at work, I still feel that way from time to time. So I don't know if I would ever get there, but I'm someone that I like to challenge myself, take up new tasks and everything. So I think I'll keep going. I'm going to keep going, but trust me, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Nowhere near. So
final question. No, actually, not the final question. Tell me one thing you enjoy right now, like one thing you're really enjoying now, or one thing you're obsessed with right now in your life.
Spending time with my husband.
We are sorry.
I know.
We're sorry for asking that question.
I know. Actually, I know this is not the answer anyone would want to hear, but honestly, spending time with my husband, like I said, for me, it's always been the little things. Yeah. So getting back home from work so tired and exhausted, coming into the arms of someone waiting for you. I really do enjoy, the moments I get to spend with my husband. He's my happy place. So, yeah, so that's one of the main things that I enjoy doing after a really hard day or tough season.
Yeah. That's
It's small, but trust me, it's very big for me.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Really, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So final question. What does audacity mean to you?
Hey, audacity. Hey. Looking in my boss's face and telling him this won't work.
That's a good one.
Yeah, looking in my boss's face and telling him, sir, I think this won't work. That's audacity to me.
It takes a lot of courage.
It takes a lot of courage, Ifa. But there are times when you I mean, being at the workplace, there are things that boss is saying something, you're saying you don't agree with him, even though he has a lot of things. So to me, that's audacity.
That's interesting. I love that answer. Thank you so much for personalizing it.
Thank you.
And guys, that's the end of this episode. We spoke with Araba Grant-Andoh, an architect, my friend, and I think this episode was amazing. Let me know what you think about it. See you at the next episode.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming.